We're following breaking international news. Officials say an airstrike in northern Syria killed at least 20 people. Good morning, I'm Warren Wright. We're told the strike hit a hospital and nearby building. The victims include 3 of the hospital medical staff. We're getting incredible video into our newsroom. A woman is safe this morning after an intense rescue in California. This is video from our sister station in San Diego. Okay, if you look, you can see the woman hanging from the top of the sign. You can see her dangling over the freeway. We're told 2 California Highway Patrol troopers were desperately trying to save this woman last night. We're told the brother of one of the troopers killed himself years ago, and so the trooper was determined to save the woman. Again, she is safe and getting the treatment this morning. Roads are closed this morning in downtown Fort Myers after a fire breaks out at a well-known Southwest Florida law firm. Power crews and firefighters have been working through the night to clean up after the fire, which started yesterday evening near Main Street and Broadway. And that's where we find 4 in Your Corner's Malcolm Johnson, who has more on what sparked the blaze. Good morning, Malcolm. In other news this morning, the threat of severe weather remains as many people in the middle part of the country are still reeling from an outbreak of deadly weather. The storm system bringing tornadoes to at least 5 states, from Texas to Indiana. Fox News correspondent Tracy Gallagher is monitoring the very latest. You know, Tony, some people were complaining that they were giving too many early warnings on the storms, but I don't think you can get enough warnings. I mean, especially with the stuff we just saw there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back. For the first time, the CEO of the Palm Beach Zoo will be answering questions about the tiger attack that killed the lead tiger keeper. The attack happened almost 2 weeks ago. Christina Noche from our sister station in West Palm has more from the Palm Beach Zoo. New on Rising today, the man who admits he killed 3 people at a Colorado Planned Parenthood clinic will return to court for a discussion on his mental health. Today's hearing will focus on whether 57-year-old Robert Deere is competent to continue with his criminal case. In sports, the 2016-2017 NFL Draft is tonight, and one player with some ties to Southwest Florida may be starting his NFL career in just hours. Clemson quarterback Mackenzie Alexander is expected to be picked up. Well, the countdown is on to the Olympic Games with less than 100 days to go. And so far, only 62% of tickets to the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro have been sold. Even though crews have found the El Faro cargo ship's black box, it may take months to actually get it. The National Transportation Safety Board announced Tuesday that it had found the device. Minnesota authorities investigating the death of the rock star Prince are releasing new details about the inquiry. The 57-year-old singer was found dead in his Paisley Park studio a week ago today. Kim Hutcherson has the very latest. Tracking crime this morning, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office says the numbers of cars being broken into has doubled in the last year. The criminals will do everything from rummage through the vehicle to stealing firearms. When spending the day on the water, you don't expect to see toilet paper floating nearby, but people in Cape Coral say it's become a reality. The Bimini Basin near Fort Freedom's Park, just off Cape Coral Parkway, is considered one of the city's jewels. All right, when you first step into your new home, there are a few things you don't want to see, and an alligator is definitely on the don't list. Right, a Russian woman tests out an explosive-proof suit by what else? Walking through explosions.
Whew. Russia's deputy prime minister releasing this video. She also got a bouquet of roses for her efforts. That's it? Roses?
Right. I mean, like, she's walking right through a minefield. Okay, that's what I call dressed for success.
Oh my gosh, how would you like to have been that guinea pig, Tony?
Dressed for success? What?
Okay, all right, everybody. Have a great morning. See you later.
My mom, she was trying to get out from the bedroom. She made it this far. The smoke was so bad, she died right here.
This Bonita Springs woman describing the deadly fire that burned her home to the ground, killing her mom and leaving her children homeless. And now she says she feels burned twice. She learned the insurance that she had been paying for all these years barely covers anything.
4 in Your Corner's Warren Wright sifting through the wreckage with her, trying to get to the bottom of a painful lesson this woman says she learned.
Kimberly Phillips' mortgage included payments to her insurance company, but she now says her insurance isn't taking care of her. Kimberly Phillips is trying to pick up the charred pieces to her life after a fire roared through her house in February.
And then this is what happened through the kitchen. This is the kitchen, and this was my laundry room. This is where the fire started. As you can see, it came up, and it just went whoosh.
Her children and grandchildren got out alive, but her mother didn't make it.
When I come here and clean, and I think about my mom all the time.
She is slowly cleaning up what's left of her house because her insurance isn't enough to pay for a wrecking crew.
We have shoveled and raked and taken everything out of this house by ourselves.
Kimberly feels abandoned by her insurance company and her bank.
You've lost everything.
We lost everything.
I mean, I see you crying. What's going through your mind right now?
What's going through my mind right now is that I wish for everybody who has house insurance to check their insurance.
Come to find out, Kimberly's insurance was for the bare minimum required by the bank. She realizes now that it only covered the mortgage and some of the cost to rebuild.
Just thought that when you're paying $1,200 in insurance, you figured that you got some good insurance, that you're gonna be able to be okay.
But that wasn't the case.
Wasn't the case.
Do you regret that you made these assumptions?
Yeah. If only I knew. Some people just don't know these things. Check your policies, because if you don't got the coverage you need, you're going to be out on the street.
I spoke with several insurance agents about Kimberly, and they all made the same recommendations. Check your policy. Don't assume anything. Also, reach out to an independent agent and get a replacement value estimate. And insure for replacement value, not what you can sell it for. Kimberly says her family just isn't making it and will be losing their temporary housing. If you'd like to help, just go to our website and click on this story. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.
Over backwards to make people happy, and I feel like she kind of walked all over us.
The owner of a skin treatment center in Estero feeling the burn tonight after a customer who got some face work worked them over financially. 4 in your corner's Warren Wright finding out this suspected beauty bandit has actually struck at another skincare center in the past. Warren?
That's right, Patrick. Anyone who gets work done will tell you beauty comes at a price, but it appears the suspect in this case didn't want to pay it, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase spa junkie. It's no glamour shot. This is Jennifer Lockwood Crinson's mugshot. She's accused of getting her face freshened up at the Laser Lounge and Spa last month, walking out on the bill and leaving employees stunned.
Very shocked.
Laser Lounge specializes in laser therapy, Botox, and dermal fillers.
Raise your eyebrows for me.
And the people who work here say she wasn't the easiest client, but they always treated her with respect.
Multiple no-shows she had with us. We waived all those fees for her.
They say when Lockwood Crinson finally showed up, she got the works, $955 in spa services. But when it came time to pay, she said she needed to run to the bank.
Maybe an hour, 30 minutes go by, then we called her. It wasn't a right number, it was a wrong number, and then a couple more hours went by.
In fact, they say Lockwood Crinson gave 2 false phone numbers. By the end of the day, they called the sheriff's office, still smarting over what she did.
We make you walk out here looking beautiful, and you're not going to help us out in any way. Well, we had to do what we had to do.
Arrest records indicate this isn't the first time Jennifer has tried to look her best on someone else's dime. In July of 2013, she received aesthetic services at Eye Centers of Florida. She wrote a check for nearly $1,300, and the court records say there were insufficient funds.
What if I told you it has been done before?
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
So what does Jennifer have to say? I went to her house. The car registered under her name was in the driveway. As I approached, a man opened the door, just a crack, asking me what I wanted.
We understand that she got a lot of spa services and she never paid.
The man at the door chuckled and said he didn't know where she was.
Would she be available to talk?
The answer was no. As for the Laser Lounge and Spa, they're out nearly $1,000 after saying yes to her desire to put her best face forward.
You know, we've been over backwards to make people happy, and I feel like she kind of walked all over us.
Okay, well, right now, Lockwood Crinson is out on bail. She's facing charges of grand theft. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right.
Is the Caloosahatchee bad for your brain? New research is showing a possible link between diseases like Alzheimer's, ALS, and our local water.
4 in your corner investigator Warren Wright reviewing the new information that has scientists around the world thinking they're on the verge of making a connection between blue-green algae and dementia.
Researchers from Australia, Europe, and even here in Southwest Florida are all making the same connection. Blue-green algae blooms are giving off a toxic compound that, when ingested, appears to have a dramatic impact on our brain cells, causing neurons to wither and die. The fear is Lake Okeechobee could be ground zero for diseases like Alzheimer's and ALS.
I can't get over how nasty it is when you're coming up right by the rocks coming out of the lake. It's just terrible.
David Hicks loves to fish on the Caloosahatchee, but fears the water coming out of Lake Okeechobee is a toxic soup. How long have you been fishing on this river?
Since 1988.
He and his friend Willard Stone both agree when it comes to what they reel in.
I wouldn't eat a fish out of here or tell anybody else to eat one.
A number of scientists are now saying that's probably a wise decision. That's because of this. Blue-green algae blooms, or cyanobacteria, are getting more common, primarily due to all the fertilizer dumped into Lake Okeechobee, which feeds the blooms. And that algae is putting out a toxin known as BMAA, beta-N-methylaminoalanine. So how long have you been studying BMAAs?
Oh, about 10 years now.
Dr. Larry Brand from the University of Miami is an MIT graduate in marine biology. Brand has been studying the water coming out of Lake O, monitoring algae blooms and its impact on marine life in the Caloosahatchee, Indian River Lagoon, and Florida Bay.
This is our research vessel, and then we use this for conducting offshore research.
They take water samples and measure the potency of the algae blooms. So this is a mobile floating laboratory.
Correct.
Brand's data is showing year-long hotspots for cyanobacteria blooms in all three bodies of water, and tissue samples in everything from largemouth bass in the Caloosahatchee to shrimp and crabs in the Indian River Lagoon are showing high amounts of the neurotoxin BMAA. So why is that a bad thing? When a person ingests BMAA, studies show it can take up residence in the brain's neurons. When enough BMAA gets into the neuron, it can fail to function and begin to shrink. It's a similar condition observed in patients suffering from Alzheimer's and ALS. And multiple studies show those patients all have high levels of BMAA in their brain tissue. While there is a connection between BMAA and neurodegenerative diseases, scientists have yet to prove a direct cause.
So if you've got a lot of BMAA in your diet, your brain cells are going to be slowly accumulating more of this BMAA and therefore accumulating more and more of these tangled proteins.
As it bioaccumulates in the food chain, that's really bad news.
Researcher John Cassani helped collect the fish samples in the Caloosahatchee, which proved to be loaded with BMAA. Even more disturbing, autopsies of dolphins in the Indian River Lagoon. In a recent study of 5 dolphins that died for no apparent reason, they showed abnormal amounts of BMAA in brain tissue samples. Biologists noted the dolphins appeared to be confused, even getting lost.
Sometimes they swim up rivers, up into freshwater lakes, not the normal dolphin behavior. So it sounds just like an Alzheimer's patient.
When asked about BMAA, the Florida Department of Health only had this comment. BMAA is one of many possible environmental triggers to neurological diseases that is being investigated by researchers in Florida and elsewhere. There are millions of potential environmental exposures, and additional research is necessary. In the meantime, local scientists who have studied the data are all saying the same thing.
I love to fish, and I continue to fish in the Caloosahatchee, but personally, I wouldn't eat the fish.
I personally would not eat any of the seafood from those locations.
And for local fishermen?
It's just sad. It's extremely sad.
There are currently a number of studies underway examining the connection between BMAA and neurological diseases. If you go to our website, we'll list a number of journals and periodicals that explore this concern, including a video lecture from one of the researchers who says this information could even lead to a cure. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right.